the book of Habakkuk. The prophet Habakkuk chapter 2, verse number 3. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For there is still a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems to tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. My brothers and sisters, today the text invites us to trust God's appointed time. In other words, we must trust God's timing because God's time is the best. As people, we must guide against moving ahead of God. When we move ahead of God, we will always get it right. We are living in a fast food society. Today it appears everyone is in a hurry. Nobody is ready to wait. As a result, some people are impatient. That is why we hear shootings, we hear reports about killings and break-ins into other people's properties. Some people are growing impatient, and it is very bad for our society. It seems to me that most of the road accident that occurs on our roads could be prevented if some drivers are patient enough. Sometimes we speed and rush on the road and never get to where we are going. Sometimes we pray to God for a situation and we want them to happen now. My brothers and sisters, let us remember that God is the one who controls everything. And therefore we need to wait on his appointed time. No matter how badly we want it sooner, no matter how we pray and plead with God, no matter how we fast, no matter how we walk in righteousness, it is not going to change God's appointed time. And therefore, it is important for us to learn to trust on God's own timetable. So, in Galatians chapter 4, verse 4, it says, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent his son, born of a woman, born under the law. So God works on appointed time. So God is working his purpose out. Our ways are not his ways. Therefore, there is the need to learn to wait on God's appointed time. The problem with us sometimes is that because we sometimes don't understand God's timing, we live upset and frustrated, wondering when God is going to do something in our lives. We sometimes ask the questions, God, when are you going to change my drunkard husband? God, when am I going to get married? All my friends are married. When am I going to get my life partner? God, when is my business going to take off? God, when am I going to get a job? God, when am I going to get over my pains? Brothers and sisters, when we understand God's timing, we will not live all stressed out in this life. We can just relax knowing that God is in control, and at his perfect time, he is going to make it happen. Our text this morning encourages us to be patient and wait on God's appointed time. For there is a vision for the appointed time. It speaks of the end and does not lie. If it seems tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not delay. So in the context of this text, the prophet Habakkuk was very disturbed because the people of Judah had wandered away from God. Wickedness and gross immorality marked their lives. The prophet Habakkuk's heart was broken over it. He saw how mean people could be in his society. He saw great violence, cruel people with little fear of God and no respect for each other. He saw bitterness, conflict, and strife all around him. Contention, disputing, and opposition were fighting within and without. So the prophet Habakkuk, in his great concern, wanted to know from God why all these are happening as it is happening in our days today. And this is the expression in chapter 1, verse 2 and 4. It says, "Oh Lord, how long shall I cry for help, and you will not listen? Oh, cry to you violence, and you will not save. Why do you make me see wrongdoing and look at trouble? Distraction and violence are before me. Strife and contention arise. So the law becomes slack, and justice never prevails. The wicked surround the righteous. Therefore judgment comes forth perverted." So that was his expression to God. After he saw all the mean people in the society creating a lot of confusion in the society, that was his complaint to God. So the prophet Habakkuk wanted answers from God. Why evil is prevailing in the society, but God seems to be far away. He prayed, but nothing happened. The heaven was silent. So in the text, we see Habakkuk, after telling God about his problem in chapter 1, he went on to chapter 2, verse 1, by saying, "I will stand at my watch and station myself on the rampart. I will look to see what he will say to me, and what answer am I going to get from my complaint." So you see, Habakkuk did not give up. He said, "I will stand at my watch and wait on God." So in effect, he says that I will wait for God's appointed time. The important thing is that he realized that the one thing to do was to wait on God. He was waiting for God's appointed time. Notice it is appointed time. Appointed time may be next week, next year, or 10 years from now. But whenever it is, you can be rest assured that when God is ready, it will surely happen. And therefore, my brothers and sisters, it is never true that if you pray hard enough, if you have enough faith, it will change things. God does things in his own time. Therefore, we need to remember that because God has his own appointed time, when we encounter any trouble or any challenge in our life, we should not worry. Because your worry will not change the situation. God will do it, but God will do it in his own time. Sometimes we worry and bring a lot of problem on us. And the question is, if you can solve the problem, why should you worry and not solving it? Because you cannot solve it, why don't you wait on God with prayers? So my brothers and sisters, the key is, how are we going to wait on God? What will be our physical, emotional, and spiritual demeanor? Are we going to wait with a good attitude and expectancy, knowing that God has great things in store? Or are we going to be upset, frustrated, and complained? My brothers and sisters, the truth of the matter is that if you know you have to wait anyway, why not make a decision to enjoy your life while you are waiting on God? Why should you worry yourself? So this morning and today, we should not worry about anything. So the prophet says, I will stand and wait on God. So it is my prayer that whatever situation you may find yourself, remember that God is in control. God works in his own appointed time. It may be so difficult, it may be so unbearable, but wait on God. Stop worrying, because worrying cannot solve the problem. Whilst we are waiting, it is also important for us to discipline ourselves. We need spiritual discipline to wait on God. Without spiritual discipline, we cannot wait on God